Hey, how's it going? I wanted to look over the King 4 versus 6-3 hand where I triple barrel, went all in on the river. It was a blind versus blind spot. So I ran a sim. This is Pio Solver. And yeah, just to briefly look, this actually got a little bit garbled. Let's not look at that because I did some node locking. But this is what the sim looks like. Um, And so just to go through, in case you haven't seen a solver before, this is my range. And then if I were to like check, this is what your range looks like. And the different colors indicate different actions. So currently there's six big blinds in the pot, which are represented. You can't really see this, it's really small, but 600 chips. So there's 100 chips per big blind. And then the stacks are 97 big blinds, which is not quite right. I think we're a little shorter than that, but it's, pretty close to correct. And that's represented as 9,700 chips. So again, 100 chips to big blind. And we'll be looking at some of the chips in terms of EV later, which is one of the things that um, Pio tells us. So before anything else, there's two. I've simplified this solve. I originally ran this with a bunch of different sizings and I liked mixing between a whole bunch of different sizings, but now I'm only using like a 70% CBET, which is what I did, and then a check. So this is my small blinds node, and this is what my strategy should be. And a couple of salient points. So first and foremost, Ace King, which is going to be a very relevant part of my hand, is betting pretty frequently, a little bit under 50%, but it's it's pretty frequent. We're also going to have kings and aces at a good clip. Nothing's betting pure, um, but there's quite a few things that are betting quite a bit, right? King, queen, pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket sixes, pocket fives. So our overpairs, our sets are all betting pretty frequently. 6-5 is betting quite a bit, and 9-8 is betting quite a bit. King 9, not pure, but King 9, King 10, these are all betting a fair amount. Okay, these hands are all going to matter later. And last, my hand, King 4 of Hearts, is actually not betting that much. But let me go ahead and zoom in on this so that we can really see the EVs on this. So, yeah, so when I go hover King 4 of Hearts, it's the lowest EV just because it doesn't have the backdoor flush draw. Um, and it's preferring to check, but the EV difference is 0.4 chips, which is 4 1,000ths of a big blind. So this does get in there at some frequency. I play this differently than the solver did, but it's not bad. It's still a perfectly fine, c betting candidate, given this tree. So anyway, I went ahead and continuation bet for about 70%. And this is your node's response. And notice you're mainly calling and you're raising some, uh, I don't think you have any ace. Yeah, you're raising some ace jack here. You're raising a little bit of king jack. And then some of your two pair, 6-5, pocket fives, pocket sixes. These are still calling because you want to have some calls. And you're raising some 6x and some 5x and some straight draws, etc. But not a huge clip. So, by the way, your hand 6-3 could be a raise. Uh, yeah, for reasons that I'd be happy to chat about at some point. But check raising is well, this is just a raise. This isn't really a check raise. But anyway, you chose to call. I'm not sure that you're implementing the strategy for raising, but that's okay. Makes my life a little bit easier. Okay, so the turn is the overcards to the Queen of Hearts. And this is my strategy. We are barreling almost any two cards, but there's a problem. So I'm simplifying at this node. You'll notice that I ran the sim with um, 4 different sizes and a check. And this includes a 33% block bet, a 71% barrel. Ends up being about 135%, and then an all in. And I chose to only use the 135%. Um, and that was just when in game, that's what I decided. So I had to run another simulation uh, where, let me come back here. So you'll notice these are basically the same ranges. You'll note like all the boxes are the same. The only thing that's really changing is the strategy. And that's because in this one, which is the one we were working in, I have all these different sizes and it's mixing between them. But this is me simplifying my strategy here to only having the 135% pot overbet, which is around the size that I used in game. It was a little smaller, but that's because we were a little bit less deep. But and by the way, the EV loss between these two goes from, you know, 8.7 big blinds to 8.5 big blinds. So it's a small loss, but also this is a lot easier for me to implement. Salient points here: ace queen, so top pair, top kicker; king queen, top pair, second kicker, all barreling; over cards, over pairs are all barreling; ace king, all of our straight draws; king 10, king 9, 9 8, 10 8, 10 9. These are all barreling and at like full frequency, 9 8. So all of these hands are going to matter quite a bit. Pocket jacks is checking. It could, I mean, it's strong enough to bet. And it's actually, the EVs are very close, but it's choosing to check. Not sure exactly why. I think probably it's expecting a lot of your queen X to bet, and it can check raise. In fact, let's just take a quick detour. What happens when we check? You should be betting quite a bit. So you're going to have like queen jack, king queen, and these are all betting. And I'm imagining jacks are, yeah, they're calling or check raising. But notice that we have a pretty big fold frequency here. We're folding 60% of our range, and that means that we need to really be putting up a fight here with some strong hands. So we're going to have some sixes and some jacks to defend ourselves. I don't know if I do that in game, but yeah, anyway, I choose to bet, instead of checking, I choose to overbet. And notice that my hand, king 4, is betting, right? And king 4 of hearts is a mix, so I might be over bluffing this a little bit. But I think I'm probably going to be missing some other bluffs in here. Like, it's really hard to bluff solver frequency. And like, these hands are all just slam dunk value bets that I will be finding. And this is, you know, for what it's worth, this is my size. So it's not like I'm going to be splitting this between different sizes. On this turn, I am using an overbet. And so I might not have the queen 10 in here. I'm not totally sure. But I'm going to have, I'm going to have a lot of these hands. So anyway, I would choose the overbet and, oops. So I choose the overbet, and this is your strategy. And a couple of, so 6-3 is a call. So far you're good. Yeah, you're raising a bit with like jack 5, queen 5, your two pairs. And you're folding your pocket pairs, which I don't know if you are doing that. But there's reasons for that, which is maybe a fun exercise left to the reader. But here's a really interesting thing that's happening. So what's happening with king 9? Well, you just have a raw gut shot, and this ends up getting folded. You just don't have any king 9 here. This has to fold out. Same with 9-8. You're calling a little bit, but yeah. And you don't even have, you might have some 10-9 on practice, but yeah. You're folding out a lot of your straight draws. I'm guessing king 10. Yeah, king 10 is a pure call because it's open-ended. And you have like twice as much, and you have the over on this. But yeah, 9-8 is folding a lot. King 9 is folding. So and I'm imagining if king 9 off would also be folding. So the point, I mean, this is really important because once we see the river, so you call, and once we see this 10 of hearts river, it's just disaster. I mean, I'm just shoving a huge portion of my range. I guess it's here, the sim is saying 15%. I'm probably shoving ace king a lot more. I'm probably shoving all of my straights, 9-8, king 9. And the sim is actually checking these a lot. So my checking range might be a little bit unprotected. And it's also preferring a smaller sizing. And I is using the smaller sizing for aces and kings and pocket queens. And these can all go for value. Obviously queens are top set. Queen Jack is checking, which is, I mean, it's strong enough to bet. Like it's happy to just get the money in. Um, so I'm not totally sure why this makes a good check, but anyway, this is the value portion of my range. All my straights are betting. They're not necessarily going all in, but they're betting. And then King 4 is a really good bluff. It's just a really good bluff. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up this zoom in. So again, we don't have a ton of King 4 of hearts, but when we do, notice that the all-in, so the all-in is losing about half a big blind versus the bet 71%. So this is a sizing mistake on my end. I don't actually hate it, but I think I might be putting more of my top end value into that sizing. But it's still a profitable bluff. And we should be winning, even when we go all in, we should be winning about 2.5 big blinds on expectation. And it's one of the best bluffs. King 4 of spades, I'm not sure exactly why, but it's slightly better. Maybe we're blocking like some King 10 or something that you should be calling with. But it's barely better. It's just like by a smidgen. And these are both better than King 4 diamonds, King 4 clubs. And again, I'm not totally sure why that is. I'd have to like dig into the sim. Other better bluff candidates. King 5 is a little bit better. Notice instead of being worth 247, it's worth 321. So almost a full big blind more. And you might say, well, why is this a bluff? Well, we're blocking 6-5. We're blocking pocket fives. Those are both really good. We're blocking like whatever Queen 5, 10-5 that you got here with. So we're blocking a ton of 2-pair is basically what's happening. We're blocking some sets. Then the other really good bluff here is King 8. And this is blocking, your only straights are like 9-8 offsuit, and you have those at like half frequency, and this is blocking some of those. So you shouldn't actually, the king is not that good of a blocker because you're blocking all of your, I mean, it's blocking some other value. It should be blocking some king queen. So we'll see here. But like king queen is one of the calls. It's almost breaking. It's winning half a big blind. It's very close to being a fold. Really, I mean, I think if we pull up the range explorer, so this can show your strategy. Top pair is calling about 50%, maybe closer to 60. Second pair is almost never calling. Third pair is almost never calling. Even some 2-pair are folding. Sets are always calling. Straights are always calling. But your range, this is just a really bad river for your range because I have all the straights. You have very few sets. You have 6s and 5s, but you don't have the top end. So you just have like, you're at a huge nuts disadvantage. And that is why I'm able to just absolutely blast away here. And we can go back to this. And like, I am betting 70% of my range here, and it's not too much. Like, I just have so much value. So anyway, this is how I was thinking about this spot basically. And, I got a couple of things wrong here and there, which I could maybe tighten up. But yep, that's kind of how I was thinking about it. So anyway, hope this was helpful. And next time I have ace king, feel free to call me with 6-3. All right. Take care.